My wife, 35 female, cheated on me 34 male, and then cried while deleting her AP contact information. I have never felt more broken or pathetic in my life. Basically, what the title implies. My 4-year-old wife joined a gym early this year in order to lose the excess pounds. She noted after a few days that she had developed a friend with a trainer, 56M, there, and he inspires her to work harder. Given the dude's age, I assumed he was taking a mentor-like interest in my wife. They eventually began communicating over Instagram and WhatsApp. She began spending more time on her phone and became more secretive about it, but I chalked it up to increasing stress since she works as a trader at a financial institution, which is a tough profession. I received a message on Facebook around 2 weeks ago from someone claiming to have evidence that my wife is cheating on me. So I added that individual, who turned out to be her wife's friend. She informed me she had received texts on her husband's phone indicating that he and my wife were having a full-fledged emotional affair and were making preparations to reserve a hotel room, and he was discussing things he wanted to do to my wife. To say I was taken aback would be an understatement. I went home and asked her if she was having an EA with the guy from the gym. I inquired whether she was sure he was only a friend, and she answered yes. She replied okay, so I got back in my vehicle and drove away, booking a hotel room for the night. Then I switched off my phone and went to bed. When I turned on my phone the next morning, there were 80 missed calls and hundreds of texts. So I phoned her again and asked if she was ready to come clean. She agreed. So I returned home, and she admitted to having an emotional affair with the guy, but claimed that she would never have intercourse with him, which is why she kept putting off his offer a hotel stay. She pleaded for another opportunity, pledged never to make such a decision again, and handed over her phone and social media passwords. I reviewed her texts, and it was evident from the chats that they had yet to have any physical interaction, and he was pushing it while my wife was muted in her reaction, but she wasn't shutting it off. There were also a few movies and images. So I figured it wouldn't hurt to attempt marital counseling before blowing up the marriage. Anyway, we had our first marital counseling appointment yesterday, and our counselor was asking some basic things, such as if she had given me full access to her phones and social media, whether she had removed the AP contact information, or whether she had blocked him. She said that she had done neither, and I gazed at her in awe. When I urged her to block him, she obliged while crying. At this point, I was absolutely open-mouthed, wondering if she was really sobbing while blocking the person she was cheating on me with as I sat there. It felt as if I had an out-of-body experience and was seeing myself sobbing while blocking my wife's AP. I'd never seen such a pitiful sight before. I had lost faith in myself. The MC revealed to me that it was an affair fog, and that even though it was an illicit relationship, the sensations were extremely genuine. But I didn't only lose respect for my wife at that point, I also lost respect for my pitiful self. It was heartbreaking to see her sobbing over him. So I requested her to end the session and informed my wife that I was going to find a hotel room and think about our future. Then I almost sprinted out of there. So my query to Reddit is, can my marriage be saved? Should I cut my losses and flee? Story 2. My life improved after cheating wife left. My narrative really dates back a few years, but the current pandemic crisis has brought it to life in certain ways. I turned 39 in December, my girlfriend's birthday is a week before mine, and my daughter's birthday comes in between, so we usually have a birthday week party. We'd been married for over 5 years and had been together for almost 7. We seemed to be in a good mood, in my opinion. The rate at which things changed astounded me. All of this began when I was 32 years old and my daughter was 4 years old. My ex-wife was 31 years old. My ex-wife joined a new gym since they were running a deal. It was a highly costly high-end establishment. The problems began shortly after that. Because the specifics of the cheating aren't very interesting, I'm not going to spend much time detailing them. For around 6 months, my ex-wife became distant, starting arguments often, going out on ladies' evenings, and so on. After approximately 6 months of this, I went on a business trip, and when I returned, my ex-wife and I had moved out. 2/3 of her belongings, as well as the majority of my daughter's belongings, were gone. There are divorce papers in the kitchen, There was no note, nothing. She offered 50/50 custody and said she didn't want any money or the home. It's worth noting that at the time, I was already making six figures plus bonuses and commissions. I anticipate to be a billionaire by my 40th birthday or shortly after, thanks to some extremely sensible investments and cautious preparation. But I assume she wasn't in the mood to wait. It's not unexpected that she met the person she did since she's a wonderful and attractive lady, particularly with exposing gym attire. I didn't realize it until I got the divorce papers, but the guy she left me for was already a billionaire, and he was 45 years old. But I had no idea about the other guy at the time. All I knew was that my wife had departed with our kid in divorce papers. She didn't return my call or anything. Her parents and siblings were unaware of her whereabouts. I eventually spoke with her, but she didn't tell me anything about the other person. She just said that she is dissatisfied and wants to move forward. After a few weeks, I was persuaded to sign the documents when I got an invitation to her second wedding. I signed the paperwork, and she remarried 3 months after she divorced me. Because the specifics of all of this aren't very unique, I'm providing a shortened version. When I split, I was able to see my daughter again, and she spent half her time with me and half with her mother. I concentrated on being a better, more present parent. I increased my training efforts and formed a detailed fitness plan. I gained a fortune after taking several investing and trading classes. I even acquired a new pastime in woodworking, where I would repair unwanted furniture that had been discarded. I eventually began dating again, but nothing serious. I was more anxious about another lady being near my kid. She never warmed up to her wife's second spouse. My daughter often said that he tolerated her. But that was all. She didn't use those exact words, but that's what she meant. After a while, I met my present girlfriend. We've been together for nearly 3 years and have been living together for 2 of them. My girlfriend is 10 years younger than me and is from Thailand. She studied therapy and worked as a therapist at a spa. Her and my daughter get along well, and my ex-wife is envious. My girlfriend and kid love spending time together in a manner that I don't believe my ex-wife did. For example, my girlfriend and her daughter both have long hair and like watching YouTube tutorials on how to do complex braids and hairstyles. My kid prefers this over the pricey toys that my ex-wife is continuously purchasing for her. It's finally time for the story twist. The year 2020, as well as the pandemic, were not kind to my ex-new wife's spouse. He worked as a business consultant and lost almost 75% of his customers when the firms needed to cut costs. They may employ him again in the future, but it's difficult right now. He still had a lot of money, but he was living paycheck to paycheck. Furthermore, it was discovered that he was deeply in debt. I'm not sure of the specifics, but I've heard he has hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card debt as well as outstanding loans. He had to sell his home, and they had to relocate to a condominium. He had to sell a large portion of his assets to meet the majority of the charges. He is still comfortable, but their way of life has drastically changed. The good news for me, my girlfriend, and my daughter is that she has been living with us full-time for about a year. I gladly agreed to take her while they dealt with their financial issue. We've previously visited my girlfriend's family in Thailand, and after the epidemic is over, we're planning a wedding there. We are thinking of shifting to Thailand. My daughter visited Thailand with us, and although we haven't discussed it in depth, she is eager about moving in Thailand with us. She's even begun taking Thai language classes online. I'm not sure how this will work precisely, and it's not like it'll happen tomorrow, but I'm hoping for the best. I guess I'll just have to see what happens. That's the end of my narrative. I hope it might serve as a source of support and motivation for those who are going through a similar experience. Remember that even after a difficult experience, things may become better.